Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us tonight. This is our fourth annual Building Brothers new member orientation program. Uh, Our means KFLL, Kansas Fraternity Landlords League. We are a group of house corporation boards that have gotten together since about 2015 to engage in some best practices discussions, getting together to communicate about the challenges that are faced by our tenant fraternity chapters. And so, in short, we are your landlords, and we want your experience at KU to be the best that it can be. And we want our houses to continue to have fraternity members living in them for many years to come. So, part of that process, we have a new member orientation each fall. This year it's a little different. We're doing it by Zoom. I'm sure you all are familiar with these video presentations these days in the era of COVID. Usually we've had these programs at the ballroom at the Student Union, nice big buffet meal. We can't do that this year. The good news for all of you, this will go much faster than it has in years past. So without further ado, we have a few notable KU alumni, KU fraternity alumni, and some important KU personalities that want to welcome you to campus.
Hey everyone, I'm John Holt from Fox 4 News with great news and congratulations. You made it to one of the best college campuses in America. Welcome to the University of Kansas, and I may be a little biased, a two-time KU graduate. Hey, and one more thing, you're also part of a fantastic Greek system. How do I know? Well, as a young lad coming out of central Kansas, a small town, Great Bend, I didn't know many folks at the university, but living in a fraternity allowed me to network with guys from all over the country, to learn all sorts of skills from time management. We were involved in athletics, philanthropy, and oh yeah, we had a little fun too. What a great experience and so much fun. I stayed all 4 years of my undergrad career at KU. So embrace Greek life. You're very fortunate. Enjoy. And again, welcome to the University of Kansas. Now, embrace it and go have fun. Rock chalk.
Hi, this is Kevin Harlan of CBS Sports and a 1982 graduate of the University of Kansas and a Sigma Chi, welcoming you to Lawrence and this wonderful new chapter of your lives. You know, the big step to college will be made a lot easier with the fraternities that you've all just joined and the instant friends that will last a lifetime. You'll come to cherish all the different events and parties and activities that you'll all do together with these new brothers, and everything, I promise you, will have more meaning and certainly more fulfillment along the way. You know, when I look back at my time at KU, not only did I enjoy my house, but I had friends all over campus in the Greek system, friends that were in my wedding and remain my best friends to this day after we first met some 40 years ago. The bonding that is made possible in the Greek community, to me, was one of the single most important parts of my college career. Friendships and connections that I promise you will play a big role in shaping your lives. So congratulations and good luck. And most importantly, I want to thank each and every one of you for playing the NBA 2K video game while you were in quarantine at home and away from high school, whether you were in your bedroom by yourself or in your basement, again, by yourself. I'm sure that you and I had many wonderful, constructive hours all together, and I want to thank you. And my accountant wants to thank you as well. Hey, men, all the best. Fasten your seatbelts. You are all in for the ride of your lives.
Hey man, Coach Bill Self here. Just want to welcome everyone back on campus to the University of Kansas, especially all you fraternity members out there that are getting ready to experience some of the greatest times of your life. Make lifelong friendships, unbelievable contacts, have more fun with. I know I'm envious. Unfortunately, I wasn't cool enough to be in a frat at Oklahoma State, so I was guess we called it a GDI back in the day. But I just want to wish you the best. Have a great time. Be safe and stay COVID free.
Hey guys, Greg Gurley here, 1995 graduate of the University of Kansas and a proud member of Phi Gamma Delta. I was a Fiji here while I played basketball, and it was always nice to have my fraternity brothers to hang out with after a tough day on the court. So it's something that's going to be the best 4 years of your life. You get to enjoy it, have fun, but fraternity life for me was a great backup to my basketball family. You guys are going to have a blast, enjoy it. These are the friends you're going to have for the rest of your life. My fraternity brothers I talk to on a daily basis. I know it's going to be a grind early, but have a good time, stay healthy and COVID free, and have a great year. Rock Chalk.
One of the reasons that we get together at this freshman orientation each year is to also lay out some expectations for our tenants. And by expectations, we're talking, of course, about academic performance. We have been monitoring the academic performance of male students at KU. KFLL has for the last 4 or 5 years, collecting data on that. And this first slide that we're looking at shows the average GPA going back a few years to the spring semester, spring semester of 2018. And as you can see, last year, the KFLL houses, the fraternity members in our 11 houses, outperformed all other males on campus with GPAs in the 3.3 range on the average to 3.0 of non-KFL male undergraduates at the University of Kansas. That's been pretty consistent the last few years. And I can tell you, while it's not on this chart, that's been pretty consistent in all the data that we've seen since we started tracking this information. So what the data tells us, statistically speaking, our 11 KFLL houses are going to outperform all the other men at the University of Kansas campus on average to a significant extent. Next chart talks about the percentage of males who enroll as freshmen at the University of Kansas and the dropout rate. If you look here on the first left-hand side, this is through IFC, so not just KFLL houses, but also all fraternities on campus. The dropout rate after one semester is about 2%, whereas the dropout rate for non-Greek males students attending University of Kansas somewhere around 7 or 8%. So that's a big difference. Then if you look at the next side of the chart, that's the percentage of men who do not return after the first year. And as you can see, that does increase for IFC Greek students. Somewhere about 8% of you, this says, won't come back after your first year. We're sad about that, but it's certainly much better than the non-Greek male students who have a non-retention rate after the first year of about 22, 23%. So statistically speaking, again, you are much more likely to return to college after your first year if you have been a member of a fraternity at the University of Kansas. Then we look at graduation. So you've come back after your first year, you've stayed 4 years, you are more likely, almost 60% of you will graduate in 4 years, whereas your counterparts who are not in fraternities are about 32%, 33% are going to graduate in 4 years. Certainly, if you are concerned about the cost of higher education, this should come as good news to you. If we look at 5-year graduation rates here on the left or the right-hand side, all the IFC males, Greek fraternity members at KU are going to be somewhere in the 76, 77% range, graduating after 5 years, as opposed to just over 50% of non-Greek male students at the University of Kansas. So the data tells us if you join a fraternity, you're going to do better in terms of GPA. You're going to be more likely to come back to college after the first semester in the first year, and you're going to be much more likely to graduate in 4 years or even 5 years than your non-fraternity member male counterparts at the University of Kansas. We tell you this not to brag, we want you to know that you are entering into an environment where the support systems are there to help you, and also the expectation that you perform. Academic excellence is a hallmark of the fraternity system at the University of Kansas. And so we are telling you this because, quite honestly, we want you to continue it. So this is the data that we provide in order to help get you started down that path. We're going to go ahead and talk to some of our two keynote speakers tonight. The first one being Assistant District Attorney Lindsay Shermer. She is an Assistant District Attorney in Douglas County, Kansas. Douglas County is the jurisdiction where KU and the city of Lawrence are located. Hopefully you have not had any criminal contact yet with the court system. Hopefully you never will. But Lindsay is going to talk to you about some of the pitfalls and the consequences of the criminal justice system as you embark on your freshman college career.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay Shermer, and I'm an Assistant District Attorney at the Douglas County District Attorney's Office here in Lawrence. Welcome to KU. Today, we're going to talk about the legal consequences for your choices. So, the actions of others could come back on you. If you permit it, you promote it. First, we're going to talk about Kansas law. It is illegal to drink under the age of 21, and it is illegal to purchase alcohol under the age of 21. This can be punished by a fine of $200, but that's not the only financial burden you're going to have. You would have the cost of an attorney, or perhaps a substance abuse evaluation, and the cost of treatment. And ultimately, you could end up spending 30 days in jail, or be on probation for a year, or have your driver's license suspended. Kansas law does have a protection of sorts of immunity from prosecution. If you are drinking underage and you see someone in trouble, say something. Initiate contact with law enforcement or medical professionals, and stay on scene until they arrive and cooperate with them, and you will be immune from prosecution for underage drinking. Hazing. So you've probably already been over the KU Code of Conduct already, and that is hazing is a violation of that, but also there is a statute in Kansas criminalizing hazing. Say you're out at a bar one night and a police officer comes up to you and asks for your driver's license. Be respectful. Don't fight them. It is illegal to interfere with law enforcement, so just be respectful of the police and in your dealings with them. Your social media, it is not private. Nothing is ever private. Law enforcement can get access to your social media through search warrants or through subpoenas. So be mindful of that. While it could have legal consequences for you, you also don't want your future employers to be able to find that, your family and friends to be able to find that. If you're interested in grad school, it could affect your application and admission to grad school. So be aware of that. If you're intoxicated, put your phone down, don't record anything, just be smart. Here's some other legal consequences, or I guess things that can be, that are consequences that are illegal. Having a fake ID, providing alcohol to minors, DUIs, whether you are driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs or a combination of the two, it is illegal and can be a felony. Sharing prescription drugs is also a felony, including Adderall. And of course, sexual assault and rape is a felony, and you could face up to life in prison and be a registered sex offender for the rest of your life. So when you're intoxicated, it leads to poor decision making, whether it's behind the wheel of a car or having sex with an intoxicated person, unable to give consent, or not calling a friend for help. It can lead to criminal charges. So all that to say, be a decent human being. Be smart, be respectful, If you see something, say something. Be leaders in your community, and we hope that you have a great year at KU. Thank you.
So, really quick overview and survey of some of the laws in the state of Kansas that might typically apply to some behavior or activity that you can anticipate being confronted with as you make choices in your ongoing lives as students and fraternity members. The thing that we want to focus on was the second slide that ADA Shermer presented, and that's the immunity law. Most people aren't aware of this, and we certainly want you all to be aware of it. We're not naive enough to think that there might not be some underage drinking involved in houses or off-campus activities. If there is someone who drinks to excess or gets into a situation where there's some illegal conduct involved on their part or on the part of the people that they're with, that should never be a reason why help is not called, professional help. Your upper class brothers can talk to you about some of the presentations in previous years. The most famous one being, of course, at Penn State 3 or 4 years ago, where a heavily intoxicated freshman new member, his quote unquote friends and quote unquote brothers did not render aid or call anyone to help him after he became heavily intoxicated and repeatedly fell down some stairs and ultimately died. The state of Kansas, in that situation, even if you are underage, even if you've been drinking or engaged in illegal activity, if you do those things that the law requires that ADA Shermer briefly ran through, if you call and report that there's a problem, if you can be of assistance to the responding medical emergency or emergency medical providers and law enforcement, you will be immune from any prosecution for your own behavior. So something to keep in mind. I don't think many of you probably were aware of that before tonight, and that's always a big takeaway from this presentation, because again, as we build brotherhood, we want to have our brothers' backs. And if you get into a situation where something like that happens, you need to be aware that you can safely get out of it without there being the consequences that you might think there are. So again, if any of that information on those slides, I know she ran through it pretty quickly, we can disseminate that to the houses if there's anybody out there that wants to go through those consequences. But it's our hope that you just never have to find out what those consequences are, because you're all going to be the leaders and you are going to make those good decisions, and you're going to have each other's backs and be responsible. We're going to move on now to tonight's keynote speaker. He's a Phi Delta alumni from the University of Kansas, Dr. Paul Schreppel. Dr. Schreppel is an associate professor at University of Kansas Medical Center. He is also the fellowship director for their sports medicine program. Dr. Schreppel is the chief orthopedic doctor for the Kansas City Chiefs. When Patrick Mahomes hurt his knee last year, it was Dr. Schreppel that got him back on the field playing. So we all owe him a great debt of gratitude. He's also an assistant orthopedic doctor for the Kansas City Royals. And he has prepared some comments to help you guys embark on your careers as members of the Greek community here at the University of Kansas.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Paul Schreppel. I'm an orthopedic surgeon over at University of Kansas Medical Center. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Orthopedic Surgery. I also happen to be our program director for our Orthopedic Sports Medicine Fellowship, and I'm the head orthopedic surgeon for the Kansas City Chiefs. I was invited tonight to talk a little bit about my time at KU as an undergrad at Phi Delta, and I think some of the positive things that you can really gain from that situation, relationships that you develop there. You know, I finished in 2003, as I mentioned. I was a Phi Delta. I think those are some of the best 4 years of my life. I have some of the best friends that I've had, you know, over that period of time, and still talk and spend time with them regularly. I think that the Greek environment, and particularly the houses that you all are in, really provide a great structure, both to introduce you into college life and help you transition from maybe your past high school experiences and what you're going to be experiencing the next 4 or 5 years. I personally found, I think the structure of the fraternity experience was really helpful in that transition. And I also think I gained a lot of mentorship opportunities. I was fortunate that I knew what I wanted to do pretty early. I knew I wanted to go into medicine in high school, and really sought out some of the older brothers in our house that had gone through the process of doing pre-med and applying to medical school. So I think gaining the mentorship experience from those older brothers was very helpful in getting me through. I think it was also nice to have peers within my class going through similar experiences. I think we were able to really bond and help each other and develop good learning habits and studying habits. And I think to kind of progress through that experience. And we were fortunate that out of our class, we had 4 that went into medical school that year, and 6 actually out of our house that year. So I think it was an environment that really fostered productivity and success down that pathway. I think there's also a lot of leadership opportunities within the Greek environment, both in your house and through the Greek system as a whole. I think those certainly can serve you well through your careers in life, whether it be medicine or any number of aspects. And I really encourage many of you to seek those out if that's something that you're interested in. I think it also helps foster a good social intelligence, which I think is important in any workplace, both in healthcare and beyond. I think, as a person now that really reviews a lot of applications, both for orthopedic residency and for orthopedic fellows, I think having experience such as this is really a positive in demonstrating that you've been able to interact with your peers well and kind of developed and fostered that social intelligence. So I think there's a number of valuable attributes that come from the fraternity experience that really benefit you lifelong throughout your career paths. So one question that was asked is maybe how that previous experience applies to what I do now, particularly as a head team orthopedic surgeon for the Kansas City Chiefs and also as an assistant team physician for Kansas City Royals. And I think, again, really building on that experience of brotherhood, I think really learning to work as a team within a structure, relating to people well. And I think a lot of those attributes are valuable, particularly in the locker room when we're working amongst our medical team. For either the Chiefs or the Royals, we have a pretty robust medical staff, a multidisciplinary staff of many different backgrounds, whether it be athletic training or physical therapy or strength and conditioning, orthopedic surgery, non-operative medical care. So being able to work together as a team is, I think, very important. I think there's a fairly public injury that everyone witnessed last year. And I think you could see very clearly when Patrick went down on the field how important it was both to provide rapid and appropriate care, but also there's a whole chain of events that occurs amongst all of our providers after that really facilitates the optimal care of the athlete and hopefully a satisfactory return to the field. So I think, again, those are skill sets that you really develop as you come through the Greek system that I think will serve you lifelong, for me in my setting, but also for anybody in a number of career pathways. Things that we got to do as freshmen when we first got there, although we were all kind of apprehensive and adjusting to a new situation, and at times uncomfortable in some of the things we did, we really got to know each other well. We were able to build bonds and understand the people that we were going to be living with for the next 4 years. I think it really fostered some stronger bonds and relationships that lasted throughout our time there and well beyond there, many of whom are still good friends of mine. So I think although for many that freshman year, particularly when you first arrive, can be apprehensive and maybe a little bit frightening even, I think it's exciting, and I think you have the opportunity to do some really fun things and get to know the people around you. And I really encourage you to embrace that situation and benefit from it. I think one of my favorite things that I did while I was at KU was actually the time that I spent studying abroad. So I was invited to do some research in Australian outback, looking at availability of emergency medicine and trauma cases. And so I did that for 2 months. But then I had two fraternity brothers that actually met me in Sydney, Australia, and we studied there for the semester. It was one of the best times of my life. We got to know some great people and do a lot of incredible things. We visited New Zealand and Australia and Tasmania and Bali and Fiji and Japan. So I think, those opportunities are available for any of the more adventurous folks. And I really encourage you to look at those as well, because that was a real special opportunity and time for me. And I had a great time with the two brothers that I was with. During your time in Lawrence and your time in your fraternity, you're going to have the opportunity to make a lot of relationships and establish the bonds that I was speaking of earlier with both the guys in your house and those members of your pledge class, but also with people of other houses. And I think some of the great things we did, was intramural sports. Flag football was probably one of the most fun. But even amongst the people that were pursuing similar career paths to mine, we spent a lot of time studying, preparing for classes, working together, whether it be at the library, at the house. So I think having those structures or the support network around you and really getting to know the people you're going to be spending time with is really going to benefit you during your time there. And I think sometimes it's hard for people to come out of their shells and do, but I really encourage you to do that. There was always some fun rivalries with other houses, certainly with Fido. Fiji was one of the most common, but I also got to know those guys really well through a lot of things that we did. And actually, one of them happens to be one of my orthopedic partners today and a dear friend. So just to continue to kind of focus on those lifelong relationships, I think, a lot of those can come from your time in Lawrence. So one thing I briefly touched on was the importance of the relationships that you build both within your house, within the Greek community. And I think I've seen that throughout my career since I've left Lawrence. I think that importance extends well beyond healthcare. I've noticed that certainly within my brothers that have gone into different careers such as business, that I think learning to establish those relationships is important, but those relationships have also transitioned to important career opportunities as they've moved on down their career path. So I think, again, that the Greek community fosters those relationships and support networks that really help you build those relationships long-term. Another opportunity the Greek community will afford you is the opportunity for community service and philanthropy. And I think that's something that is an important skill to learn and an important contribution to your community, but also I think an important pattern to establish, throughout a lifetime. I think we've seen as COVID has hit the United States, how great the disparity can be and how affected some families have been. And I think being willing to, go out and actually help someone, in your situation, immediately your brother, but then eventually your community and those around you as you leave Lawrence, I think is something that will serve you very valuably throughout your career and lifetime. I know when we look at potential applicants, community service is a big aspect of what we look at. And certainly that was an important part of me as I was applying to med school. So whether you decide to do Big Brothers Big Sisters or Habitat for Humanity, there's any number of community groups that the Greek system will allow you to kind of participate in that I think will both make you feel more fulfilled, but also help those in the community around you. To touch on the leadership aspect that I had mentioned a little while ago, I think it also fosters that leadership and shows that you are a community leader and you're willing to really push the community and those around you to a better place. But it wouldn't be a talk in 2020 if COVID wasn't mentioned in some capacity. I know there's been no shortage of information that you've been provided related to COVID-19 and exposure risks, but I think it's important to stress, again, as a medical provider, if you guys want to stay in school and avoid returning home to live with your parents, I think you need to wear your masks. I think you need to practice social distancing, 6 feet or greater, eliminate close contact exposure, certainly those longer than 10 minutes. Wash your hands frequently, avoid touching your face mask and face with your hands. If you just practice these basic restrictions, I think we can suppress COVID-19 and hopefully everyone can stay in school, push forward, and we'll move on from this. One thing I think that's important, in closing is to really touch on the importance of, helping your brotherhood, helping the brothers around you and doing the right thing, making good decisions to really help support those around you. Certainly there's been some instances where there's been poor decision making and maybe a lack of that support network that's led to some very bad publicity or press to the fraternal system. and also obviously negatively impacted a number of lives, probably indefinitely. So I can't stress enough how important it is to really make sure you're doing the right thing, support those around you, look out for your brothers, make sure you help them in a time of need. And I think that's a consistent theme you're probably going to hear from a number of speakers tonight. But as I said, I don't think I can stress that enough, how important that is. I think all of us can look back at experiences we had where we really leaned on, one or more of those brothers around us to really help us through troubling or trying situations. And I think that's, again, one of the strongest benefits of having that support network around you.
Well, I think you've gotten a pretty good idea of some themes from our speakers tonight, and the name of our program being Building Brothers. Hopefully there's been some good information provided. I'm thrilled that we could do this in a speedy fashion. I wish we could all be in person enjoying a meal together, and hopefully we will get back to that. Some things to follow up on. We know you're just getting your sea legs under you. You're just on campus. You're just figuring things out. You're figuring things out in a very strange year where even the administration and your professors and the upperclassmen in your houses are also figuring things out at the same time. So it's not the typical year. But as you go through that, as this becomes the new normal, whatever that's going to look like, we do urge you to think about how you can participate in the larger Greek community, how you can help encourage and foster the Greek community and the Greek community's interests. We really encourage you, if you have an interest in joining IFC, running for a leadership position and becoming involved on a larger level in the Greek community. And the same is true of the Student Senate. If any of you are so inclined, we always like to see KFLL members who run for and get elected to the Student Senate to help with changes to the student code and be part of that process. So as you look at the things that you're interested in doing while you're at college, those are two things that I hope that you think about and that you will consider doing. Community service, Dr. Schreppel mentioned. Your houses will be undoubtedly encouraging you to do that, and we certainly do too. And I think that while you don't realize it yet, unless you've come from a high school environment where you were required to do that, you'll get a lot of satisfaction out of it, and you'll meet a lot of people, and you'll feel pretty good about yourselves. So we encourage that. Finally, just some words about COVID. Again, weird year. We've had some unfortunate starts in the Greek community. Part of that's because you guys are on campus sooner than anybody else. You bore the brunt of the first few weeks of publicity about returning to school in person. And there were some unfortunate incidents. There are going to continue to probably be. The Greek community is in the spotlight. Nationally, they are being blamed. They're being scapegoated. In some cases justifiably, in some cases just because they're an easy target. We don't want you guys to be easy targets. Please take it seriously. Part of being a brother is having your brother's back. Look out for each other, be safe, stay healthy. The rules are there to protect everybody. And I know it's hard as an 18, 19-year-old getting onto campus, wanting the fraternity experience to be the way you expected it to be. And it's just not, guys. This fall, it's just not. You're going to have to delay some of that gratification. There's just no other way to put it. Be responsible, be men, have each other's backs, be brothers, and watch out for each other. That's what I'm going to end with. As you become brothers, it's okay. You see your brother struggling, that you ask them about it. Make sure they're okay. Don't ignore it. Learn how to talk to each other, learn how to be there for each other, and above all, make good decisions and have a great time. So we wish you the best. We are here as resources. If you need anything from the alumni or your upperclassmen, reach out to them. We're happy to help. That's all part of the fraternity experience. You're not there by yourselves. You are not alone. And not only do you have a great leg up academically by your choice to become part of the Greek system, you have a great networking leg up as well. So you'll find that anytime you need anything, reach out to your upperclassmen, reach out to your alumni, and we'll all be there for you. So thank you all for attending. Hope this has been informative, or at least gotten you a little bit more excited about things as the year has progressed a couple weeks. And we all look forward to seeing you in leadership positions and attending this program in whatever form it takes next year at this time. And rock chalk. Thank you, everybody.